but yeah, that sounds so much better than a Gen 2. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be going over a 2021 Ford F-150 Raptor, aka the Gen 3 Raptor. First and foremost, though, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Ford Lincoln here in Provo for giving me some time with this Gen 3. Check out the inventory link below. Let's get into the video. So under the hood, we have a twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 15 around town and then 18 on the highway, with power outputs being 450 horsepower and then 510 pound-feet of torque, and that has a 410 rear end. Now let's go over the front end of the Gen 3. So first off, you guys will notice we've got the cool venting here in the center, just like what the Gen 2 had. It says Raptor on the side now. Coming down below, we've got the orange LED accent light, which is kind of like a signature with the Raptor to match the marker lights with the projector bulbs. We've got the marker lights in the center and then off to the side. Fog lights down below. And then notice we've got the gigantic Ford logo there with the camera just down below that. And then notice that the bumper still has that metallic gray, just like the Gen 2. We've got the exposed skid plate with the tow hooks on either side. And then you guys can see that action down below and a little bit with the new live valve. But other than that, that is the front end, and in white, looks like a stormtrooper. So coming around the front here, we've got 17-inch wheels. Wrapped around that, we have 35s. And then in the back, same exact setup. Now, this one has the beadlock capable wheels. I wasn't a huge fan when I saw these in pictures, but seeing it in person, they definitely look a whole lot better, especially with the overall truck itself. Now, moving from that, we've got the new live valve from Fox, which gives us 14 inches of travel in the front. And then notice the oversized fender flares. And then notice how we've got the venting on the side with the off-road side steps. And then you guys can see the mirrors with the camera at the bottom. If you guys are wondering, if you get the 37 package, it drops the front travel from 14 inches to 13 in the front. And then popping here to the back, we have the biggest change, which is the 5-link coil suspension, again, the new live valve. And then we've got about 15 inches of travel in the back. If you get 37s, you drop down to about 14.1 inches. Still the oversized fender flare with the marker light. And there's your full side view. So here's our key fob for the Raptor. Nothing's really changed with that. We do have the drop down for the tailgate. We have the remote start as well. So with the remote start, you lock it, double click it, and that'll do it with the drop down. You just press that and that'll do it. But that's the key fob. Now, popping here into the bed area, you can also just press the tailgate and then it'll actually slow lower down. And that's pretty cool. 1,147 pounds for the payload capacity. And then you guys will notice we've got all of the measuring tables here. This one has the bed step added to it. Got the full spray and liner. And then you guys can see LED light there with the power here in the back. This one has the Pro Power Assist. And then notice with the cargo light, it is an LED, it's all white. Now for the tailgate itself, you do have to lift it back up, which isn't too bad because it's really not that heavy. Now finishing things up here in the rear, notice we've got the full LED lights here. And then again with the marker lights, actually red in the rear, which is pretty interesting because you have the orange in the front. But anyways, we've got the giant Ford logo right there. We've got the twin exhaust, dual exhaust, whatever you want to call it, recovery hooks as well. And other than that, there's kind of like your back view, and then here's kind of like a view from the side so you guys can see that wide body. Looks really cool. Now here's the door panel in the front. Really nice material use here, and then down below with the leather trim. This one does have the carbon fiber Bang & Olufsen sound system. Got the Raptor steps. And then you guys can see here with the seats, really nice material use, really nice leather all throughout with the Alcantara. And then you guys can see the cup holders. We've got the heated seats down below with the vents, and then down below that we've got a bunch of outlets. This is actually for the cargo hooks for the bed. Funny enough, in my Gen 2 Raptor, I never even installed those. That's how lame I am. But anyways, you got the back seat storage, all that fun stuff, and well, so now here's the door panel at the front. Really nice material use at the top, and then the leather trim down below. We do have blind spot monitoring there for the mirror. More carbon fiber trim here. All of our window controls, memory seats. We've got the mirror adjustments, Bang & Olufsen sound system again, Ford Performance. And then here are the front seats. Got the nice aggressive bucket seats is what I'll call them, because I mean, just look at these things, especially with the bolstering on them. But it says Raptor on it. Notice we've got the adjustments down below. Pedals in that area. You've got the adjustments for the pedals. You've got that for the light controls, the mirror lights, and then the drop down for the tailgate. Steering wheel is automatically adjustable. And there's one more look before we pop in. So let's go over the steering wheel here in the Gen 3. You've got the red mark at the top with really nice leather all around. And just like the Gen 2, you've got the fat steering wheel with the nice grips and everything, especially on the back of the steering wheel, like your fingers just kind of hug it, which is great. We've got our steering mode select. We've got our damper select, exhaust select as well, controls for the center. We've got our cruise control on the other side, gigantic paddles here on the back, turn signal / windshield wiper stock. And that's all for the steering wheel. Before we go over the gauge cluster, I love the venting and the accent there on the side, and then also has an American flag on the side. But anyways, let's pop here into the gauge cluster itself. So you guys can see, of course, it's giving me a fuel warning. We've got some different steering modes. So we've got our normal, comfort, sport, and then the last one's your off-road steering mode. And then with the dampers, we've got a normal, sport, and then off-road as well. And then with the exhaust, quiet, normal, sport, and then Baja, and it actually does make a significant difference, especially from quiet to the normal. Now as for the rest, it's got the full digital gauge cluster. I'm not going to spend too much time because I've shown that in other F-150s, but you can see it gives you a fuel economy warning when you want to change drive mode if you're lower on fuel. Deep snow and sand, we've got our Baja, and then we've got our rock crawl as well. And then on the other side, I love how it gives you owner's manual warnings too. We've got our sport, we've got our tow haul, and then we've got our slippery. So we've got a bunch of different drive modes, and yeah, that's everything for the digital gauge cluster. We've got our auto stop start here. This is for the cameras, the parking assist. That is for the hazard lights, stability control, and then that's kind of like your off-road cruise control. And then we've got the 12-inch display in this particular Raptor, because it's fully loaded. You've got a really good camera system, shows you a bunch of different camera viewpoints out with the truck. But here's what I think is the most important. So pop it into drive right here. Now I'm going to press the camera button so the camera is on, and then I'm actually going to put it into neutral, and I'm going to pop it into four-wheel low. And the reason I'm showing this is pops on the trajectory lines now when you're in four-wheel low. So if you're actually going to take your Raptor off-road, which you should if you buy one of these, if you're going to spend as much money as these are, it's definitely worth it. That's something that you should know from an owner perspective. But aside from that, you guys know I love the 12-inch display. It's got great response time, and then with the Pro Power Assist, Pro Power Onboard, whatever you want to call it, pops on right there. And yeah, we're just gonna leave. Now leaving the infotainment system, we've got our Pro Trailer Assist, and then more carbon fiber trim there on either side actually, which is pretty cool. Trailer brake controls on this one, and then our drive mode select. We've got the locker in the rear. You've got four-wheel high, four-wheel auto, four-wheel low, two-wheel drive. And then notice that we've got our controls for the radio, climate controls. This has heated, cooled seats, heated steering wheel, all the luxury features, more carbon fiber. And then you guys can see the wireless phone charger, all that fun stuff. The shifter that folds down with the manual mode, a couple cup holders. This particular Raptor has that and the regular center console. And you guys will notice with the glove boxes, pretty normal stuff. But notice this one does have the carbon fiber on the outside of the glove box. And then you guys can see nice material use all over. And then also this one has the speakers in the headrest with the Bang & Olufsen sound system, which is pretty cool. And then finishing things here at the top, we've got the auxiliary switches, which are a must for the Raptor. And I want to mention this in every single Raptor review. We've got 6. The TRX only has 4, so it is what it is. Got the power sliding window, full panoramic center for this one, and let's look at the window sticker now. So here's our window sticker for this Raptor in Oxford white, and you guys can see again we've got the black seats. Now you can see all of the standard equipment that comes with the truck, and I love how they're like, yes, 5-link rear suspension. That's the first thing they show because they want everyone to know that it no longer has leaf springs. But you guys can see that with the standard equipment, and then optional equipment down here, rather. This particular one has, it's an 801A. And then the other options that have been added on this particular one, it's pretty fully loaded. So you guys can see that. Total MSRP $78,965. Let's take her out and see how she drives. Let's go over visibility before we set off here in the Gen 3. There's your visibility over the hood. Both the mirrors, they've got blind spot. and then the rest of the rear. And let's set off. Right now I'm starting off in the normal mode with the dampers in normal and everything else. Well, I think the exhaust is actually in quiet right now. So we pretty much got everything in quiet and normal mode, or let me just make sure on the exhaust. Let's make sure to put that in quiet. Okay, there we go. We got the exhaust in quiet, and yeah, it really does, you know, somewhat feel like a regular F-150. There are some key differences though. So with the steering, definitely feels a little bit more direct. It still has that Raptor feel. It still has that, like, you know, big wide tank feel that you get when you're in a Raptor, and that's why a lot of people will purchase these. Super smooth though. You have really quiet. Now we're gonna pop it into the Baja mode for the exhaust, because you know what? We want all the noise in the world. Get up and moving here on the road. Now I'm not gonna go crazy into the throttle or anything like that. Yeah, definitely sounds good. Definitely has a nice, like, it sounds beefier than the Gen 2 Raptor. I wouldn't necessarily say it's louder. It's louder than a stock one slightly, actually. But definitely, like, it sounds beefier. That's the biggest difference, is it sounds beefier. Now, I actually want to feel the difference. I'm gonna keep it in normal mode. I'm just gonna play with the different settings. I'm gonna put the dampers in sport, feel the difference. I can't tell you, going at high speeds though, super smooth. Now taking a turn here, yeah, that's definitely louder than a Gen 2, and it sounds better. It just has this nice sound quality. I'm actually gonna open up the window in the back so you guys can hear a little bit more from the exhaust. Yeah, sounds good. Super smooth. This is crazy how smooth this is. So I purposely drove my TRX down today so that I could have, like, back to back in terms of, like, my feeling and everything, so I can see exactly how both the trucks drive. I'm gonna pop the dampers back into normal. Wow. Yeah, this is so smooth. This is incredible. This is a night and day difference compared to the Gen 2 Raptor. I can tell you that right now, especially when you go over bumps. The back end just stays so nice and planted. Yeah, it's a huge difference. So, like, the turn-in feels very similar. I'm not gonna close the window now because it's kind of getting hot in here. The turn-in and, like, the handling and everything feels so similar to the Gen 2. That all feels about the same. And, you know, like, your off-the-line acceleration, everything feels the same, roughly. Sounds a little bit different. But the biggest thing you notice is when you go over stuff, and just also when you're just gliding down the road, it's so much smoother. This is, like, a much better daily driver compared to a Gen 2, just because of how much smoother the suspension is. That is a huge positive for this truck. Yeah, I love how it feels. It still has that fun, light, nimble feel. But again, it's just so much smoother. So we're gonna get up and moving here. Okay, yeah, that definitely sounds a lot better than a Gen 2. Getting on the throttle a little bit more, it sounds a lot better than a Gen 2. That is for sure. And the suspension, yeah, this is in the sport setting, so the suspension's on the firm side, and it still just soaks it up better than a Gen 2 does. Yeah, this is a much bigger improvement than I was expecting. I was a little bit worried because they didn't really change too much with the engine or anything, but yeah, that sounds so much better than a Gen 2. Wow. I just have it in the automatic mode, if you guys were wondering, not doing the manual mode or anything like that. Yeah, it sounds like a race truck. That's so cool. It sounds really good. Like, this has got to be the best sounding V6 in a car from the factory. Maybe the Ford GT is a little bit better, maybe. But yeah, so let's sum things up here with this Gen 3. I'm having way too much fun driving this. I'm gonna pop back into the normal mode. So, exterior wise, people keep going back and forth. Here's what I have to say. Seeing this in person 2 times now, seeing it in white especially, it looks really good, and I like it more than the Gen 2 in person. In pictures, I like the Gen 2 more, but in person, this definitely looks better to me. Interior wise, you guys know I'm a huge fan of the new F-150 interiors, and this has all that. This is great. This is a huge step up from a Gen 2 interior. The seats are way more comfortable too, I will say that as well. And then driving characteristic wise, actually driving this, it sounds better than a Gen 2, it drives better than a Gen 2, handles just as well, and it'll actually handle better off-road because the back end will stay planted with this 5-link coil suspension. So yeah, it's a huge improvement, and the pricing isn't that much more than a Gen 2 because this is a fully loaded Gen 3. It's about $78,000, which is the same price as a fully loaded Gen 2 back in the day. Now, yes, you can get these Gen 3s up to like $85,000, but that's with a 37 package, which wasn't offered on a Gen 2. So it's about the same amount of money as a Gen 2, and it's better in every single aspect except acceleration, but it really didn't need any more power, especially for off-road use. And yeah, damn, I'm impressed. Now that's gonna sum things up for our video on this 2021 Gen 3 Raptor. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Ford Lincoln here in Provo for giving me some time with the Raptor. Check out their inventory link below. I'll see you guys in the next video.